So good morning. So here we are, we're heading into the holidays. Yeah, that time that is about gratitude and Christ consciousness being born within you. And so we recognize that we're making this thing up and we get to have the experience that we want to have. So today's talk is the final chapter of our book, our Wayne Dyer book called Being in Balance. And being in balance is a great way to go through these holidays. And this chapter is called The Earth is Crammed Full of Heaven. Earth is crammed full of heaven. So let's look at these things, all right? Heaven and hell, all right? Are they destinations where you go when this body experience is finished? Is it sort of a thing about being naughty or nice? A way of needing to sort of worry about how you're acting all the time? Is it that this life has no meaning and somehow you're going to go to some destination at some point? Is it a place of future living? Or would it be something that is a way you see your world? Would it be an experience of the here and now? Would it be something that is my opportunity to experience life in one way or another? What feels more powerful to you? What are the things that we learned about heaven and hell? Because there's a little bit of confusion about this. A couple of stories. St. Peter is up in heaven, this place, heaven, and he's got this checklist, and this guy has arrived that says, I'm here to go to heaven. And he looks at his checklist and he says, you know, I'm looking over your life, and you really haven't done anything that good, and you really haven't done anything that bad. So if you tell me something good you've done, then I'll admit you. And he says, well, you know, one day I was driving down the street, and I saw these thugs attacking this poor defenseless guy. He said, I stopped my car, I got out my tire arm, I went over to the biggest one, the leader of the pack, and I said, hey, if you don't stop doing this and go home, I'm going to give you a lesson. And St. Peter said, I don't see this in your life. When did that happen? And he said, about 2 minutes ago. Do we need to do something to end up in heaven? Another story about the other place. There was a couple in Chicago in the winter, and they decided to go to Florida to go on vacation. The husband went first, and the wife was going to follow him. So the husband gets to Florida, and he sends this email to his wife about the next day. Now, he gets a letter wrong in the email address. And so the email goes to an elderly pastor's wife whose husband has just passed away the day before. She walks in and she sees this message on her computer. She screams and faints on the floor. And her family comes in and looks at the message on the screen. It says, "Dear wife, I've just checked in. There's computers here now. We're expecting your arrival tomorrow. And P.S., it sure is hot down here." Heaven or hell? Are these really places you can use your frequent flyer miles and get there? No, you know, they're states of consciousness. There are ways that we get to live. There are ways that we get to choose to live. You know, we see heaven, I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can barely speak. And then we also know, I feel like I'm in hell. This is hell. This day is hell. So we know how those two places can feel, that they're states of consciousness. They're not something in the future. They're an experience of right here and right now. You know, what did Jesus, our way shower, tell us about heaven? He said, it's at hand. You know, our hand is right here. You know, that heaven is an experience that we can have right now as we start noticing the things that feel heavenly, the things for which we're grateful. That the kingdom of heaven is where? You know, it's within us. And that if we focus on seeking that kingdom of heaven, seeking this enlightenment, seeking the truth of your being, everything else is revealed to you. So this is a pretty simple process, but we have to unlearn a lot of stuff about the fiery place or this place with heavens and harps, angels and harps. We know that this is about how am I experiencing my life and my relationships today. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us be joyful in it. So, Thanksgiving is upcoming, and we want to experience these holidays as a heavenly experience, as a way we get to choose, and we want to bring the party with us in our hearts and in our minds. And we're not looking for somebody to entertain us. We're looking for the place that we get to hold the gratitude for who we are. And we get to remember that we have a team that supports us. It's called our Unity Community. And please visit us often during the holidays. We have something going on every single night. Get phone numbers of these people, because these are the people you're going to call and go, you know, I'm forgetting how much I love my family. And they're going to say, yeah, but let me remind you of the love that you are. You know, this is how this works. This is how this works. And you will be this entertaining, amazing, creative, heavenly soul that you just forgot who you were. Nobody reminded you until you walked into something like this. So, your family your spiritual family is here. And I'm going to bring some of these family members up to tell their stories, because as we know, each of us has a story about how we get to experience heaven. And heaven is right here and right now. There's still a lot of humor around this. Mark Twain said, you go to heaven for the climate and you go to hell for the company. All right? So we just get to lighten up and let this experience be what it's going to be. Because if you go into these holidays feeling like you got to figure it out and be serious, you won't make it. It certainly won't be a fun holiday. Okay, so we're going to do a little rearranging of chairs. So just a moment, I'm having some members of your spiritual family come forward, and we're going to have a little chat. So hold on one moment. Let's see here. Okay, chairs are arriving. And thank you, Jerome. Let's see. Okay, perfect. And let me... He says, those are two words that don't make any sense to me. All right, so you guys are in the middle, and Phoebe, you're over. I'll show you in just a sec. You're right here, my dear. You're right here. Yeah. Okay, and then you. There we go. Perfecto. Excellent. Okay. I think we've got it going on. Oh, and Jerome, can I get the mic? Thanks. All right. Okay. So, happy Thanksgiving. See, isn't it great when you get to have a family of choice for your Thanksgiving? This is what we're going to do. So I wanted to introduce, and many of you know some of these folks. This is a member, of course, that's been here for a while. This is Phoebe Brown, who will be 95 years young at the end of the month. So And these are some of our newest congregants. We have Nate Metter and Stephen Franklin, who are in coupleship and have moved here from California. And then we have David Westbrook, a man of great vision, who is all about insight rather than eyesight. So we'll be talking to David. So I'd like for you all, as you are willing, to share about your experience of the heaven that you know about your life and the heaven that you've experienced here in this community, so we can all get empowered with this as we go out into the world of the holidays. So Phoebe, will you just share about, I know you have been here, how long have you been here at Unity Temple?
At the temple? At the temple?
Yeah, and I'm going to get you, I know.
About 22 years, I believe.
Yeah. And what has your journey been coming into Unity? I know you've been, I know when we've had a lot of tea together, and you just told me about, this amazing journey that you've had out at the village and with all the women you've been involved with. And
well, I was born into a Baptist family, and that went on for many years, and then I began to work in the beginner department at the church with the little folks. And so I was invited to go out to the, we called it Unity Farm then, that far back. And I was asked to come and attend the Women's Auxiliary. I don't know whether they still have that out there or not, but at that time there were quite a few people there. And so I went to this. I had no idea. I'd never been inside the gates out there. I didn't know how you got to go in there.
But we don't have St. Peter, thank heavens.
So we'd drive past and see the beautiful flag flying and the fountains. And I just didn't know anything about what the place was. I didn't understand it. But anyway, I was invited out there. We went down to the Women's Auxiliary. And it was wonderful. Everybody was grateful, and Lowell Fillmore was living at that time, and he and his wife would always come to the meetings that we had. And so this first day, this woman, a sweet older lady, gave a talk after we had lunch. And something she said took my attention, and so when it was over, I went up and I said to her, when you said such and such, did you mean such and such? And she said, oh, we have an old soul here, don't we? And I thought she was talking about somebody behind me. So then I realized she was talking to me, and I didn't understand that at all. But the years went by, and so I loved what I heard out there. And I had told Heidi that what I told Sig Paulson, and I don't know if some of you, I'm sure you know, remember them. He and Janie both came to the meetings, and I told Sig one day that I wanted to come out and hear the service on Sunday out there. And so, and then I did that, and then I began to hear him, and so then I told him that I felt like what I was hearing was something I'd always known and had forgotten. And I loved to hear all what he would say. And I felt like there was a tape in my head, and when he began to talk, then it was like I just heard things that I knew and recognized. And so that's where that all started with me. And then I had to say goodbye to my Baptist minister, my friends there. I didn't know how to do that, because I didn't want him to think that I, hurt his feelings, maybe, or maybe the church would collapse because I was leaving. But anyway, I did ask him if I could speak to him, and after months had gone by, and I'd been trying to get out there as often as I could. And so I told him, I said, Dr. Norfleet, and it would never have occurred to me to say Frank, like we do here in Unity, talk with the first name, but it's wonderful. So I told him that I was going to be leaving. I've worked in the beginner department for about 11 years there. And he said, why are you leaving? And so I just told him that I was hearing things that I wanted to hear more about. And then I waited to see what he would do, and he swung his chair around and took my hands, and he said, we'll have a prayer, and I'll bless you on your where you're going to leave and go. So he was very open with me. Mm-hmm. So that was the way that started with me.